So I'll talk about three zines. I'll talk about Moscreen and two zines that are in the same sort of vein as Moscreen. So Moscreen is sort of uh m- there's a lot of childhood in it. There's a lot of nostalgia in that. So nostalgia is a common theme that runs across uh, our zines. So I'll talk about the zines with the heavy doses of nostalgia, yeah, in them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've sent a request
Yeah.
to share my
Yes. Yeah, you can.
screen. দেখতে পাচ্ছ এখন?
আসছে। আসেনি।
বলে দিও যখন
হ্যাঁ, হ্যাঁ।
দেখতে পাচ্ছ।
এসছে।
Yes.
এসে গেছে?
হুম।
So this first scene was actually, like I said, it was sort of a documentation in a way. The core of it was like a documentation of uh, school life and college life. So there was one story that was like school life, which was called Spring Rain, and the second story was called Summer Sleepwalking, which was a documentation of college life. Slightly fictionalized, but mostly documentation. Um, so three of us were, these are two of my friends in college. So the
সৌমিত্র,
one,
এইটা একটু ফুল স্ক্রিনে দেওয়া যায় তোমার?
oh, purota, is this better?
হ্যাঁ। থ্যাংক ইউ।
Great. So
হ্যাঁ।
this was, so I'll talk about the summer sleepwalking story, which was based in college.
হুম,
So
হুম।
these are two of my friends. I met them in my first week in college, and we are still friends to this day. One on the left, his name is Pritish. Or Badi Udupi te chilo, which is right next to Manipal. He grew up in Udupi, finished his schooling there, and he came to study in Manipal. And the Chashmish on the right, with his tongue out, his name is Arpan. So he, three of us were good friends in college. So he grew up in Indore and came to Manipal. So three of us were from different places, but we became good friends. And they had all these embarrassing pictures of me because I used to do embarrassing things and they used to take pictures. So we had a comic making competition, আমাদের cultural fest. So
ওকে।
because they already had pictures, they made funny pictures. We made a comic with me as the character in the
ওকে।
comic, you know. So these are a couple of panels from that comic, and I used that story basically as the core story in Summer Sleepwalking. And I had a lot of my own drawings and my own writing and documented stuff from college. Like I used to maintain a accounts, of my expenditure in college.
ওকে।
So this is like one scan that is there. So the
হ্যাঁ।
second story is college ki what was I doing in college? Like even mundane things like keeping accounts, which concerts I went to, missing class because I was sleeping because I went to sleep watching movies. Uh, then this picture was actually staged. My fucker friend, sorry for the language, but Amra, we used to watch football matches. We used to go to Pritish's house or Badi Udipite chilo. So we used to go to his house, and I was the only one who was not into football. So being
ওকে।
a Bengali, I feel weird saying this. Not into football. My friends were all into football, so they used to watch matches, and I used to sleep. Ora,
ও,
they were the ones who were drinking. If you see, there's a book here. I used to read and go to sleep on the floor.
ওকে।
Ora, they used to be the ones who drink, and then they used to put do things like this, to me. Pull up my shirt, put the bottle, take pictures. Things college friends in college
হ্যাঁ।
do to you. So, so yeah, the first story was sort of like, so I use my drawings also in this story. So
Nice.
when during this competition also we took some pictures, we staged and took some pictures and made a story. So I also, so in this zine I used my drawings also that I'd made, like similar drawings I used to put with the story to
হুম,
sort of flesh it out
হুম, হুম, হুম।
a bit. So that's how this basically was. This story was like sort of assembled together.
হুম,
To act a skeleton chilo that my friends had made, and then I used my own drawings and whatever I had, like these account
হ্যাঁ।
records, to like flesh that out, and the story sort of came together like that. Um, then Okay, I'll quickly go through. This was my favorite one, so I'll go through it.
Yes, yes.
So with each zine, I try and do something different. So this zine I made with five of my friends. Two of them are not in the picture. These two I've put because they're my favorite friends. That's why I put them. And I think it was their idea only. They only did everything. I just posed for the pictures. So they are actually the ones who helped me write my first story, you could say.
Okay.
You know, it wasn't me who wrote it, it was them. And
Okay.
my first job, I was working as a designer, and in IT companies, designers, we work with different people. Like we work with developers, we work with coders to build websites. So we say that this is what it should look like, and then we work with developers to actually build it. It's like architectures, how they work with civil engineers to make
Hmm.
buildings. Similarly,
Hmm.
designers work with coders to build websites and apps. So he was a developer, and we start got to know each other, and we realized that he also liked to read and he also liked to write. So we started talking and we developed a friendship like that. uh,
Hmm.
he was trying to write a story which he couldn't finish, and he was very frustrated. আমাকে বললো কি I'm thinking of throwing away this story and dumping it, কিছু হচ্ছে না. I was like, he gave it to me to read and I liked it. I was like, আমাকে দিয়ে দে, I'll do something with it.
Hmm.
And so his name was Kavi, and he went by the or computer এ যে login এ একটা নাম আসে না,
Hmm.
that was L, which means the king in Spanish. So this is Kavi, my friend.
Oh.
And I told him ki
Yeah.
I'll take your work and do something with it on one condition, ki you need to give me the freedom to do whatever I want with it.
Hmm.
He said yes, and the first thing I did was I made drawings of him without any clothes on, because I told him I could do anything that I wanted. So that's how this happened. Basically, he gave me his writing, and I made drawings and I edited it, and this zine sort of came together like that. Uh, like it was very fun to put together. His writing was very funny. Like he bitches a lot basically about different things. The story's structure is very simple. It's about this guy who has taken some holidays to take a break from work, and he just wants
Hmm.
to sleep. ও ঘুমোতে চায় নিজের রুমে, কিন্তু
Hmm.
ওর বন্ধুরা, all the people in his life are not letting him sleep for different
Hmm.
reasons. মানে ওর বন্ধু ওকে একটা ডাবল ডেটে নিয়ে যেতে চায়। হ্যাঁ, ওর নেবার ওর সাথে কথা বলতে চায়, কিন্তু ওর নেবারের সাথে কথা বলতে চায় না। তো দিস
Hmm.
ইজ লাইক হি কল্স হিজ নেবার আ রিজিড মোরন, কি আমি ওকে সিগন্যাল দিচ্ছি কি আমি ঘুমোতে চাই, কিন্তু ও বকেই যাচ্ছে, বকে যাচ্ছে, বকে যাচ্ছে। So these are like
The blah
pictures
blah
that
blah blah. Yeah.
illustrate that ওই রেগে যাচ্ছে, ঘুমোতে
Confirm.
চাইছে, কিন্তু ও বকেই যাচ্ছে, ও শুনছেই না কি বলছে, কিন্তু বকে যাচ্ছে।
I'm
So
interested about that right side identity and the rigid moral type, like time, stupidity, like how you share about.
So we were both engineers, so we like studied graphs in school, and so we were just having fun basically. So if you had, so this is a graph. Which one of these is the rigid moron? Is someone whose stupidity increases exponentially with time. মানে
Oh,
যত সময় যাচ্ছে he is becoming even more and
most
more
of it.
irritated. So it's
Okay.
like in this, it's like with time the stupidity level is constant.
Okay,
So
constant. Yeah.
in this, it's increasing proportionally. In this money, after some time, it's saturating. And this is the
Oh,
Regeneron type where it's just increasing and increasing and increasing. So,
wow.
so it was, so I just had fun with it. Basically, I
Okay.
did. I set myself that brief ki ami je chai, with this writing, I'll do whatever I want, and I did. And I think he was happy with it, because
Hmm.
he did say like he was pretty happy with the outcome. But I realized I also wasn't a very good collaborator. Like imagine a collaborator who's coming and saying that, okay, you are done with your work, give me your work. Now I'll do whatever I want with it and you can't tell me anything.
Wow.
I'll take your clothes off. I'll make fun of you, but you can't tell me anything.
Okay.
But so I wasn't a very good friend. Like I don't know. But that's how I enjoyed working. I think like each collaboration I've had, the relationship with the collaborator has been a little different, and the collaboration has been different. So the output also has been a little different. And my favorite one, I think, also because we both had a similar sense of humor.
Hmm.
So he didn't really take offense to any of these things. He also found it funny.
Hmm.
So, and I think it came out funny. And the interesting thing is, আমি নিজে যখন লেখার চেষ্টা করি, my writing is mostly like sadly a little serious. মানে I don't write much funny things. So
Hmm.
I had even more fun working on his material because it was very funny. And it allowed me to also be funny, you know.
Hmm.
Um, but anyway, I'll skip a little bit. I'll come to these are a couple of comics that I read. I wanted to just highlight some comics that I really liked. This
Hmm.
one was by the studio based in Kochi called Studio Kokachi. তোমরা শুনেছো এদের
আমি
ব্যাপারে?
শুনেছি, হ্যাঁ। ঠিক আছে।
They
Studio.
make beautiful comics. So this is the comic about a bunch of people who just go to see a concert. There's this Malayali band called Avial. আর
Okay.
এত মানে his drawing line work is so good. মানে it's like this energy that is there in a concert যখন live music is playing, everything is shaking, you know, and
Hmm.
this boy and girl are basically just met for the first time and they're talking in this hesitating way, you know,
Hmm.
surrounded by all this noise, you know, this
Hmm.
music. So I really liked their work. And this illustrator, Rajiv Aip, a lot of artists that I've come across, local artists that I've been reading independent literature and going to these fests, I've come across a lot of artists whose work I've fallen in love with. You know,
হুম
you won't find them in like I didn't find them like on the internet. I didn't find them on in big bookstores. You know, by going to these events, by going to these bookshops like People Tree, I've come across their work, and that's also influenced me, say, as much as say Charles Dickens has. You know, um, coming to the next one that is sort of has this childhood nostalgia to it. This was the fourth zine. It's called Seven
Hmm.
because these are a couple of stories based on when I was 7 years old, or like I associate with being at that age. You know,
Hmm.
তো এটা একটা ছবি ছিল আমাদের দাদুর সাথে when I was around that age. একটা টিকটিকি এখানে পেছনে।
Oh.
তো তো দিস ইজ মি স্লিপিং
Hmm.
উইথ মাই ক্যাট। তো আমার বিড়ালের নাম অপু ছিল। আই
Hmm.
কল্ড হিম অপু ওয়াজ হিজ ভালো নাম, হিজ ডাক নাম ওয়াজ পুপস
কি
বিকজ আমি তো আই হ্যাড পুপস মানে
পুপস।
লাইক
হ্যাঁ
Hmm.
পটি
হ্যাঁ
because because when I got a cat I didn't know about cats. তো কার্টুনে আমরা দেখেছি না বেড়াল বেড়ালদের দুধ দেয়। তো I used to give my cat a lot of milk, but cats are actually
হ্যাঁ
very
নো
lactose
Yeah,
নো নো
yeah.
অপোজিট।
তো হ্যাঁ কিন্তু he used to have like loose motions, then he used to release a lot of gas, very smelly he was, so I called him Poops. তো
Okay.
যখন লোকেরা জিজ্ঞেস করে নাম কি, I can't say Poops, so it became Apu was his real name. তো
Oh, that's
this
why
book,
Apu. Hmm.
that's why Apu.
Okay, okay.
আপু একটু ভালো
Yes,
নাম
yes.
হয়ে গেল না, it's
ভালো নাম, হ্যাঁ।
like the ভালো নাম and ডাক নাম,
Yes,
you
yes.
know. So this zine I like to think about as a collaboration between me and my bedal. So that's why it's Apu and Joy zine. So one more, there's this story also here about a cat. I'll get to that. But I showed you Rajiv Ipe's work before. So I
Hmm,
saw that a
hmm,
lot of
hmm, hmm,
illustrators
hmm.
that I liked are working on children's books.
Hmm,
Like
hmm, hmm.
these are books that Rajiv Ipe, the illustrator who made the last one I showed, the same illustrator.
হ্যাঁ দ্যাট
So
পার্টি,
I'd been
হ্যাঁ।
I started following him and I saw that a lot of illustrators that I liked are working on kids' books because that's where I think they were getting jobs also to make kids' books, to illustrate kids' books.
Picture book.
So these
Yeah.
picture books,
Yes,
huh,
seen it.
where there are, so this one is by Pratham Books.
হুম
This is by these two are by Katha Books. This Penguin published a series which Rajiv Ipe illustrated, written by this writer called C.G. Salamander.
Hmm,
He
hmm,
goes
hmm.
by C.G. Salamander. Have you heard of him? He also writes. He's quite, money. he's well published, and he started writing for independent publications, and now he's doing a series with Penguin, which is
Okay.
Acha.
interesting, right? How he's
Yeah.
so and this also book has been illustrated by Rajiv Ipe and published by this publisher called Kalpavriksha. So they also publish beautiful children's books. And the beautiful thing about these books is also they're very accessible price wise. Like this book is like maybe less than 100 rupees, you
Hmm.
know, something so beautiful you're getting for a very good price. Um, so anyway, our college with my partner, we worked on our third semester project was in education. So the nice
Hmm.
thing about college was in design college was like when I said why college was good compared to work is we had a lot of freedom. We could pick our own projects, like what we wanted to work on. Like we
Okay.
had that autonomy completely. So আমাদের
Okay.
each subject had a project
Hmm.
which we had to do. But that project we could pick whatever we wanted it to be. So we made a children's book of children's stories. So I was
Okay.
inspired by, like I said, seeing illustrators that I like working on children's books. I like set it up as a challenge also for myself as a writer that okay, let's try and make a children's book. You
Hmm.
know, uh, so both of us wrote 4 stories. Um, so this zine I wrote 2 stories and she wrote 2 stories, and we helped each other with our stories and we published them together when we were in college. But for
Okay.
this zine, I only used my stories because when I made this zine, we both were no longer together.
Hmm.
So, so I didn't want to you know, although I think the best story in this collection was her story.
Hmm.
But I couldn't use it back then. So this story had there were 2 stories of mine I used, and I wrote a new story, um, which
Okay.
was with my cat, which was you
Hmm.
can read it quickly if you can read it on the
Yeah.
screen. It's basically just a conversation between a boy and his cat.
Hmm.
So cat is basically just showing attitude um, to
Yes.
this boy.
Must be.
Mm.
Hmm.
Because cats have attitude,
Yes.
Yes.
So that was the story. And one of the other stories was this boy doesn't know what to do with his time. So he goes to his father and says, "What do I do?" So the father is like, "I want you to, be a tinker tonker," which is sort of like an engineer, like
Oh.
engineer.
Nice.
And so the boy is like, "Oh, acha,"
Yeah.
And then his grandfather is like, "You want to chase the tick-ticky? Go and chase the tick-ticky," So it's just another series of conversations that this boy has with different members of
Mm.
his family, which was what the story was. So yeah, so there were like three such stories. One was the cat story, one this story, and there was a third story. And they were basically about like being a boy, just what do you
Hmm.
do with your time? You know?
Mm.
Uh,
Hmm.
Now I'll come to more screen, I think. Uh, jumping. Okay, yeah. So I'd seen this series of films in
Yeah,
college, which was
yeah.
called yeah, you've seen it?
Yeah, yeah. This
Yes.
is
It's
all
Yes.
like favorite.
great. So it's beautiful, right? And
Yeah.
I was very fascinated with the color concept. That each
Mm.
film had this tone, which was
Yeah.
basically this color. Like blue was this kind of sad, and
Hmm.
I think like it embodied that color. So
Hmm.
the idea for the next three scenes came from there, basically. So
Hmm.
one scene would be green, one scene would be red, and one scene would be blue, right? So green was like when you are young, it's like green. When you're green, they say, no, when
Hmm.
green boy means a young boy. And red was the theme of red was sort of so it was like young love. So
Hmm.
when you are young, how are you thinking about love? That was the theme.
Hmm.
And red was lust was the
Mm.
theme. So this- how do you think about love when lust enters the picture? What does it become? And blue was sort of the story of the first breakup that I had. So blue was so the tone of it was blue.
Wow.
So moss green again had that childhood nostalgia element to it. And if you look at the covers, actually, initially I was happy with the covers. Like these saplings in the cover in the first one, and then you have these flowers that are in full bloom, and these
Hmm.
bees are coming, in the second one,
Yes,
and the
yes.
third one, all the flowers are dead. But when I printed them, I realized they looked quite similar
Similar.
across.
Similar.
So once I print my zines and like print them in small batches like 20, 30, and sell them at fests, I get feedback also when I sell them to people.
Hmm.
And when you see something in print, you also start seeing mistakes
Hmm.
also, that
Hmm.
are things that I can improve.
Yeah.
So in subsequent print runs, I actually also have this practice where I make these changes,
Hmm.
because every
Acha.
time you're doing a print, you don't have to print it exactly the way you designed it first time. It's also an opportunity to go back and make
Exactly.
correction,
Hmm.
improve it.
Hmm.
So I've done like newer versions of these two, you know, and it's not just the
Okay.
cover, there are multiple things inside that I've changed. So
Hmm.
just to give you an idea, so these are
Hmm.
the first 5 pages, including the cover of the first version of Moss
Hmm.
Screen, right? So
Hmm.
initially, in all these three, what I did was I also used songs that were
Hmm.
about similar things, like spliced them into the into the zine. So the zine was like a mixtape, with these
Hmm.
stories that connected, you know.
Wow.
But in the subsequent version, I felt that these lyrics were not really required. They were interrupting the flow of the story. So I actually removed them. So I
Okay.
replaced them with images. And these
Hmm.
images I made using, I'd started using Gen AI tools now to make images.
Hmm.
Because like a lot of people, there are, see, every thing has its pros and cons. And Gen AI definitely has its cons. There are the ethical aspects of it, but I also enjoy using it as a tool. Just as a tool, it's a fun tool to use. And the way I used it is, I like using it the most is, I have my drawings, I have photographs, I have collages. You can also give your own work as inputs to these tools, and these tools can interpret your work also you know
Hmm.
or you can give, like, say, two images say two images that you have made, maybe a photograph and a drawing you've made that are similar, and it combines them.
Hmm.
So it's sort of using your work as a raw material and sort of making something new with that. So I'd started playing and tinkering with it then. And so
Hmm.
if you see, like, I think the compare the first flow to the second flow, there are a few changes. Firstly, the cover is different, right? um then visually also, you see there's some movement or a visual narrative that's happening. There's this bird that's flying across these
Hmm.
pages, you know that wasn't there before. So when
Hmm.
I go back, like, these are the couple of different things that I tried to do you know
I
um
just shared
so yeah,
that
like it
I didn't know about this. Like, uh, because if you see this, like two books, I bring this. So see.
yeah, that's why
Yeah,
that's why I
because it
wanted to
just
Yeah.
আমি explain করতে চাইছিলাম, because I know you bought both of these and I don't want you to feel like, you've been duped.
no, no,
I feel
no.
No,
like,
no,
Hmm.
because it is
like,
nice, like you shared, and it is nice that like we have that. If I'm saying that, like a process or draft, basically
yeah.
that is kind of like we feel that it is kind of
Hmm.
for us as a collection.
Hmm.
It is really interesting. It is really needed for us.
Hmm.
Like,
Also, like this is something even we mentioned probably at the beginning of our own discussions. Like there are like few areas like which we wanted to bring together in terms of the discourse. Okay, the geographical influence. Like যখন আমরা দুজন কোনো কিছু ভাবি, we totally come back to this college street or বাংলাদেশে ঢাকার বই মার্কেট, রাইট? আমাদের একটা নিজস্ব হয় না, লাইক এক্সারসাইজের পেডাগোগি আছে। মিক্স স্টেপটা এখন আমার কাছে পরিষ্কার হচ্ছে, লাইক ওয়াই মিক্স স্টেপ, লাইক নাও আই টোটালি আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ড কি তুমি যে দিল্লিতে বড় হওয়ার যে একটা স্ট্রং টোপোগ্রাফিক্যাল ইনফ্লুয়েন্স আছে এবং ওই সময়টা ধরা যাচ্ছে, লাইক তোমার বই করার প্রসেসটাতে, লাইক ইটস নাথিং পার্মানেন্ট। হ্যাঁ।
I'm glad you brought that up, because like I got this from my father actually. My father, when he was in college, he used to make ওই ক্যাসেট, ব্ল্যাঙ্ক ক্যাসেট কিনতো,
হুম।
and he couldn't afford to buy the original cassettes because they were more expensive of the original music. So he used to buy blank cassettes and record the songs that he liked from his friends' cassettes on his blank cassettes, you know. और और पैसा वसूल करने के चक्कर में what he used to do is like he used to not copy the entire original tape. He used to just pick the songs that he liked, and then he used to curate songs
Wow.
like from two, three different cassettes. He used to take like the songs that were similar. He used to make album covers also. He used to cut out pictures
Wow.
from magazines. He used to
Wow.
draw,
Wow.
you
Do you
know.
have still?
I think like
Do you have?
I think I have some. I have pictures in one of my Instagram accounts. Wait, I'll show you if I can. Uh, like he wanted to throw away all his CDs and cassettes. You know, he was like, आजकल तो YouTube पे सब কিছু শুনতে পারি আমি. So why do I need to keep these? And I was like, how can you throw these? So they are all in a box in my
Oh,
room.
oh, you
Um,
have that. That's great.
but I have them. Although I don't listen to them, but they're there. Wait, because growing up, I listened to my father's music. So there's this band called Deep Purple. So he cut out this picture, which is it's a rock and roll band. And this is like a very suitable cover. You know, he had cut this out from some magazine,
হ্যাঁ
you
মানে
know, for Deep
টাইমটাকে
Purple.
ধরে রেখেছে এটা দিস ইজ
I
লাইক
mean, it is a kind of
ওয়াও
like how can you say not say कि it's not a zine?
হুম
The process, if you
It-
see, I mean, the
yeah.
craft, if I'm saying
হুম
that, uh,
It's like he's
the,
making the
ওয়াও
album
the
cover.
craft, yeah,
So, like so you can see his writing, his handwriting, you know, like
yeah.
this is his handwriting. And he used to use sketch pen and he used to do it all like যত্ন করে করতো,
হ্যাঁ
you know. So
ব্রেকফাস্ট
Breakfast in
ইন
America.
আমেরিকা
so this is like
That's cool.
he's a doctor. So this is like a drug pamphlet or something. कि এই ওষুধ খেয়ে you'll become healthy and you'll be jumping like this. He used that as a
Okay.
cover,
Yes, yes.
you know. So this also he
Wow.
used some picture maybe from where he cut. অনেক
Hmm.
যত্ন করে he used to keep
Ocean.
clippings and they were very beautiful, you know, in their
Hmm.
own way.
হ্যাঁ মানে আমি সবকটা অ্যালবামকে চিনি না অফকোর্স যেগুলোকে আমি চিনতে পারছি আই ক্যান টোটালি সেন্স যে ওই ইমেজটাকে ফাউন্ড করা আর তার উপর লেখাটা ওয়াজ ভেরি মেটিকুলাসলি ক্রাফট যে এরকম না র্যান্ডমলি তুলছেন উনি
Yeah.
হ্যাঁ
Hmm.
ভেরি বেস্ট লাইক
Nice.
It's
Okay.
ও
fitting the music in some way. So, like basically, I think that's where it now. When I was doing it,
Ocean
maybe
of
I wasn't
balance.
হ্যাঁ
aware of this, but
Okay.
yeah, like, and he did it with cassettes also. Like, so these were some. This was like one of those rare original cassettes he had. See, his name is
Hmm.
written here, S.K. Dotto, Major S.K. Dotto. It's
Okay.
stamped on the there. So he was this again. His name is written here. আমার বইগুলোতেও I have this habit I picked up
Yes,
from my
yes.
father. I write my name in my books that I have. Can you see
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ
my screen?
হ্যাঁ 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 আমরাও লিখি এটা হ্যাঁ
I also I've also picked up this habit
হুম
from him. So see this happy 96 with love to this my father has given this to my mother as a gift because she liked song. I think she liked American Pie or Vincent করে একটা গান আছে which is about Vincent Van Gogh, which
Oh.
this singer sang. So
নাইস
yeah,
ভেরি ডিফারেন্ট
so yeah, all this
হ্যাঁ
I think yeah, that's where this thing with music
Hmm.
came.
হ্যাঁ
And in fact, one there is a Don McLean song also that is there in Moss Green.
হুম
The end of Moss Green, there's a story where he goes for the main character, he goes for a concert where this girl sings. And he says that he wanted it to feel like a song that was actually written by this singer-songwriter. Her name was Laurie Lieberman. She was
হুম
this girl who saw Don McLean singing for the first time, and she was totally enraptured
ওয়াও
by him. And she wrote this song. So in the story also it was written that when I went to see this girl sing, that's how I wanted to feel. You know that I wanted to see this girl sing and I wanted to be enraptured. But I think I got very too self-conscious, you know. I felt like a creep being there instead. So
Nice.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think
Hmm.
I can keep talking, but it'll be interesting to hear
হ্যাঁ আমরা ভাবছিলাম যে
your thoughts.
আমরা মানে এই হ্যাঁ জিনিসটা
It is
সামথিং
nice. Yeah.
সামথিং মানে কিছু বই তো আমাদের কাছে আছে এন্ড গুড টু হ্যাভ দ্যাট ইনসাইড নাও
Yeah.
তুমি কিভাবে এটা প্রসেস করেছো কিভাবে তুমি ইনফ্লুয়েন্স তুমি এখন কি করছো মানে এখন কি ধরনের বইয়ের দিকে যাচ্ছে তোমার জিন বানানো বা পাবলিকেশনের দিকে তোমার ইন্টারেস্ট যাচ্ছে
So the latest zine that I worked on was there's this band, this fanzine about this band that is currently based out of Bombay called the Earth Below. So I think I got this liking for like rock music from my father. Like you saw the kind of music that he listens to. So that's the music I grew up listening to. And I started listening to heavier music slightly, you know. Um
Mm-hmm.
like and that and but the Earth Below is also a rock band basically, and this band is based. I started listening to a lot of not a lot of whatever music I could find by Indian bands as well that were making that kind of music, because when I joined college তখন internet এসে গেছিল, YouTube এসে গেছিল, so you could discover a lot of music again that you could not find. I couldn't find, say, in my father's collection. I was finding on my own on the internet.
আচ্ছা
So so I actually ran across this band called Beversi. Beversi means bastard in Kannada, actually.
আচ্ছা
So they were a
Yeah.
Bangalore-based band. They
Okay.
had this song called Abhishtu. This is the artwork for that song, Abhishtu. Abhishtu was basically a song. It was again, these are like, it's the themes of this music is like kind of dark. So this song was about this serial killer who goes around in this Royal Enfield late at night and kills people. That was the
হুম
song. So I
And kill
really,
people.
হ্যাঁ
I don't know, kill people. So it was like when you read about serial killers, you read about serial lot of Western serial killers.
Yeah.
হুম
I like I don't know. I'm attracted to dark subject matter also,
Mm-hmm.
and this comes out in the kind of movies that I like to watch, books that I like to read, music that I like to hear. You know, and this song was about this serial killer who's driving around in semi-urban Karnataka, killing men and women, on his bike. So that
ও,
song somehow stuck, and there was the drummer of this band, his name was Deepak. So
Okay.
but this band, I liked this particular song, but I didn't get into the rest of their music. This drummer Deepak, he learned the guitar and he put out just an album with just guitar songs. So the drummer learned the guitar and he wrote a bunch of songs, and they were beautiful songs. They were like very introspective music. I think the first song I heard of his was called The Weight. আহ, তো আই কুড রিলেট টু ইট আ লট। আমি তখন ব্যাঙ্গালোরে থাকছিলাম, একলা থাকছিলাম, আমি একটা বারসাতিতে, আই ওয়াজ স্টেইং উইথ মাই ক্যাট, অ্যান্ড দিস সং ওয়াজ বেসিকলি about this guy who was alone,
Mm-hmm.
and it was called The Wait. It was just about like he's waiting for something. He's this So the song is like, oh, what are you waiting for? Like, he's sitting and he's just waiting. He's not doing anything. He's just waiting. I could somehow relate to that in some way. It was a very beautiful sort of expression of that emotion. So
Mm-hmm.
since then, in 2016, I've been following Deepak's music.
হুম
So I had a smartphone, gotten a smartphone for a few years. I used to take pictures, and I sent him some pictures saying that, okay, I think these pictures are nice. I like your music. These pictures, I think, go with your music. So he used some of those pictures in some social media collaterals for his new music.
ও
So
আচ্ছা
that's when a sort of dialogue started between Deepak and me. So
Okay.
these are my pictures that he used with his pictures on his socials for his music at the time. Already you can see there's a kind of vibe to the pictures,
হুম
and the music that is there.
হুম
Mm-hmm.
Then when I started making zines, I sent him a few zines. So I wrote him a letter, I sent him zines. Basically, I was a fan, I was just like
Oh,
writing to him saying, oh, I love your music.
okay,
Please,
okay.
look at my pictures, look at my zines. And he also I think he also liked some of the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And started talking a little bit about books and music and things. And I also started exploring fanzines. at this time,
Okay.
So these are a couple of books, music related books that
Music.
I like. This is a collection of Kurt Cobain's journals. Kurt Cobain was the lead singer of Nirvana. These are a collection of his journals, where he used to write about, again, very mundane things, like just, again, it's very nice to see, that he was also budgeting, I got a new pair of strings, this is how much it cost. I went to the supermarket and bought some bread. Like I kept accounts back in college, like seeing it in his diary, it was nice, and so there were some parallels I started seeing there, and then there were these bands, this movement in Norway called black metal that happened, and that specific genre of music had its own zines. There were these zines called Slayer, which was written by this guy called Medallion, and where he documented, interviewed those bands and documented those bands, and you can see it has a very specific kind of aesthetic. Slayer was also like this thrash metal band, you know. Um, then there's this artist called Nick Cave. Um, he did a book about did an interview with his friend, and this book is like a 200-300 page book, which is just a conversation between him and his friend. And this was after he lost two of his sons actually. It's very tragic. He lost two of his sons, and this is a conversation that he had with his friend after losing his second son. So where he reflects as an artist, and his music has a lot of dark themes, a lot of death in it. So I think he also felt somehow responsible for these bad things happening to his children. And I don't know, like, it's basically, this conversation is him, how he processed these things and dealt with his grief. So um anyway, so me and Deepak was like, okay, let's do a fanzine about the band where we'll just talk about. So the band at the Earth Below also had started as a solo project, and Deepak was basically working on his own, and it underwent a transition where he actually opened up. He opened up. He started playing with other people. It went from a solo project to being a band. You know, and he became friends with these people and started making music with them in this last year. So it was interesting. When I started making the zine, I thought it'd be more about the dark themes in the music, but the zine just ended up being about this guy who finds his community and makes music with his friends. So um like, it covered different things, like what are his influences. um the, the band's photographer shared his pictures with me that I could use in the zine, which was great. Beautiful pictures. And again, I used AI generated art that sort of went with the music, like the darker themes of the music. So yeah, I'm currently like the last three zines that I have, we are running out of time, so I
No,
think I'll
Shomit, what
stop
we can
here.
do, what we can do, no worries. I'm going to send you, going to send you a Zoom link, fresh room link. Okay. So let's summarize this. Then I'll send you
Okay.
a Zoom link so then we can summarize it properly. আরামসে কোনো তাড়াহুড়ো নয় ঠিক আছে I'm going to stop the recording and then we'll come back in a fresh link only.